If I'm totally honest, I think Polt's going to be trying to deny it there. I think he's realized just what a ridiculous edge it actually gave to Dongraegu there. We'll see if he's able to do it more to the point, thanks to those recent changes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring you MVP's Dongraegu, currently at 1 game in this best-of-3 series. He is in the red trunks, playing Zerg to the northeast on Tal'Darim Altar. Versus his opponent, it is TSL Polt in the blue trunks, playing Terran to the southeast.
Yeah, This is a situation for Polt that's very frustrating. What build do you do on Tal'Darim Altar? Do you 2 racks? It's a 4-player map. Can't really pull it off very easily. If you 1 racks expand and you're not aggressive enough with your Hellions, the Zerg gets 2 up ahead.
Yep.
And if you're a good player with Hellions and you can make something work with them, it's a good map for Hellions. But against someone like Dongraegu, who is really great defensively and who has this awesome amount of multitasking, then what do you do? It's a terrible place to be mentally for Polt right now. He's got to be thinking, all right, I plan to do this build, but maybe I can't even do that build now because I think he'll crush it. I mean, he crushed me last game. What do I do? It's absolutely a terrible feeling.
Yeah, I think that, honestly, he needs to be able to put that trademark positional play into effect and actually get a contain of some description, even if it's just a light one. He was never able to do that entire game. The one successful attack was early on in the game with the Hellions, and that was just kind of a Hail Mary. Let's get in there and see if it works. It did, but we never saw tanks threatening DRG at any point during that game. We never saw a good siege-up position that could actually do economic damage to DRG.
Yeah. Polt had no map presence.
No.
He could not move out. No matter how many scans he burned, he always had his army in a position where Dongraegu was ready. I mean, I jokingly said it was like Dongraegu was playing with map hacks, but when you have that much creep, your opponent's movements are all known to you, so you always have vision. Polt is going to go for a 1-racks expand here, which is what a lot of people probably would have expected him to do. Down a game like this, to do an aggressive build like a 2-racks is not Polt's style. Some players like Marine King might do that. They might even proxy 2-racks to do something like this because they're behind, they're frustrated with their opponent's style, but Polt is not that kind of player. He is going to kill this drone scout. The drone does actually see the command center, so decides to go back without even dying. Nice reaction there by Dongraegu. Double refineries going up for Polt. Very standard, very Korean way to follow this up. We'll be going into Reactor Hellions.
And the question is, can he do anything with it this time around, more to the point, when it comes to denying creep? It's almost like you can say, well, he took out 11 drones, that's great, but what really mattered there was the creep. Drones are easily replaced. Holding that creep back simply didn't happen, and it enabled DRG to take that fourth so easily. Might be a little bit more difficult on this map, especially considering the positions. It looks like he's most likely going to have to expand towards his opponent due to the way that the symmetry works here before he takes out the rocks to take the traditional third nearer the back there, as you can see. But I'm intrigued to see what Polt can do to try and slow that down.
Yeah, that's going to be the question. What if, for example, Dongraegu takes the third base that's with no rocks really quickly over at the kind of smaller expand over there?
Yeah, what if he does that?
That's something that Polt may not even scout, and if he does scout, since they're at these positions, it's really far away for Polt to go over there and punish it. So we'll see what Dongraegu has planned. We'll find out pretty soon, depending on how many Zerlings he makes, because you kind of need to kill the rocks in order to take that third. Otherwise, we do see a scout that comes in here for Polt. He wants to see how much gas has been mined. He will get in and see no gas.
Yep, useful information to have.
Very useful information, because now he's going to know, okay, he will be taking a fast third. I need to make sure I go and check that base at the top, because he can't take a super fast third with no Zerlings at the rocks.
It's very true. Where would he put it? Unless he decides to put something a little bit fancy.
Triple gas coming down Total Biscuit now from Dongraegu.
Interesting, considering that his opponent just spotted none. That's an intriguing reaction. Does he just go 2-base from this position?
Yeah, he may do that. I mean, this is a weird 2-base play, but it could be something that we see. Polt making a starport here. He's probably going to make a tech lab, and then we'll do a switch for Banshees. Great positions for that, because they're basically close by area. I say close, but they're the closest you could get.
Yeah. I don't think you ever say close on Tal'Darim, do you? It's about 5,000 miles that way, but we'll get there in a few hours.
But it's not 10,000, so...
it's all relative.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see Roach Warren coming down from Dongraegu now with 3 gases, so we'd be not surprised if we saw a Baneling Nest come down as well. Dongraegu is ahead in this best of 3. It's a great mind game for him to do something like this. The thing is, as our observer just highlighted, the Zerling speed's a little bit late here for him to be doing this, so I'm not sure what his next plan is going to be. Notice he's 41 out of 76 as well. Something else that was highlighted, he's going to make a ton of roaches. He's got 8 larvae available to him, and he's going to spend all of that on roaches as soon as this Warren finishes. Cloaking is on the way for Polt. So what we're going to have here, I think, 10 Roaches on the way. What we're going to have here is Dongraegu going to do an aggressive attack, and if Polt defends it well, the Cloak Banshees are going to be something he probably will not be able to defend.
It's going to be a little bit difficult one way or the other, honestly. That's some tricky stuff. 12 Roaches going in there.
And
no
there's
drones.
the Baneling Nest, so we are going to have that Baneling Roach all in. And again, if Polt defends this, or at least like even if he loses a lot of SCVs, the Cloak is going to be something that Dongraegu may not be able to handle. He doesn't have an Evolution Chamber. He's not going to have Lair. Oh, he's hiding him too. Polt has no idea. This is going to be a really, really scary attack. Polt, in fact, right now doesn't even have a bunker.
Good God, how on earth do you stop that many Roaches? Needless to say, the Banshee will help, but the DPS just isn't enough to kill that many Roaches quick enough.
Not with the Zerlings and Banelings as well.
Absolutely
he misses this. He does. I don't know if he saw that. Did he actually see that?
It didn't look like he did.
Well, he sees it now, so regardless, it doesn't matter, but this attack is going to be so hard to hold. There are no Banelings just yet, though. He may not wait because the Banshee's just doing so much to him here. He's targeting down these depots. The Speedlings running in here. Will Polt be able to actually hold?
He needs to get those Hellions in a fantastic position to take out the Speedlings and avoid getting killed by the Roaches. The bunker's in a nice position right next to the mineral line. Keeps it up just a little bit longer, but the Lynx now going to town on the SCVs around the back. Down goes the bunker as well. That Banshee continues to work its way through there, but Roaches are tough little bastards, and they are not going down in a hurry. Now the Natural is getting crushed.
Yeah, he's going to lose all these depots. He's lost a lot of SCVs already. Now, back at home, Lair going down. He also made the Evolution Chamber as soon as he scouted the Banshee, so the Cloak is not going to be a problem for him. He does not get the wall back up, but the Hellions are doing a lot of damage, and it looks like Polt will actually hold this, but he's lost so much. The worker count 43 to 25 now, and Polt's Banshees that he's committed so many resources to are not really going to be useful anymore because spores are already on the way. He already has 3 queens. He's got a 4th one on the way now as well. Should be able to defend this no problem.
Yeah, that's a lot of gas that was invested into something which has proved to be essentially worthless. And with the amount of damage that's already been done here by DRG, it puts him in a fantastic position going forward. He is fully prepared for this. He can transition into whatever the hell he likes. And Polt's going to try and do a little bit of damage again. Force cancel on the Spore Crawler here could even take out a queen or 2, but DRG will microwave from that boost towards the Spore Crawler.
I'm a little bit surprised that we did not see an Overseer made immediately with the lair that we saw, because now he's starting to take some damage here. Polt's not going to be able to kill this lair, so I'm a little bit surprised he's not targeting his Banshees a little bit better. But the Overseer is now out, and he's going to get warded away completely. One Banshee flies into a Spore and then gets taken out by a Queen. And no micro by Polt, just says he's going to lose 1 Banshee. And the 3rd one will escape. Polt, he invested a lot of gas in this, but he still has 600 gas in the bank, surprisingly enough. He's not been able to spend that quite yet. He's now doing the switcheroo with his buildings in his main base, adding additional production facilities, and his starport's now kind of pushed off to the side. He has a lot of production on the way, but it's not there yet, and Dongraegu knows this, so he's now going to take a 3rd base pretty comfortably and is ahead as a result. Look at that creep spread.
It's wonderful, man. It's not quite as good as what we saw on the previous map, but it is a more difficult map to do it on without question, and he's been doing it with less queens. That's the impressive thing. He had 5 queens about the 5 or 6 minute mark of the previous one, so he only got his queen count up recently to deal with those Banshees, and it's almost like he didn't even need that many to do it. We've got a Hellion Banshee push coming in here, which will be met by Roaches. Thankfully, the Hellions will be able to get out of there nice and easy, but how on earth do you assail this position? It feels like we're going to have to see a lot of tanks coming out from Polt. We're going to have to see a siege up and attempted contain to even do any economic damage at all.
Yeah, it's going to be so difficult to do that with this much creep. I mean, it's not, like you said, it's not perfect, but he did an aggressive build from the beginning, so of course things are going to be a little bit weird with how they finished up here. But he's now forcing it even further down, and Polt is going to have to scan through some creep before he can even get into position. If he tries to siege up on that creep, he's going to get crushed by his Speedlings. Mutalisks are now coming out for Dongraegu. That's something we didn't touch on too much because we were talking about all the other things going on, but the Mutalisk play here is really interesting because it's not really Dongraegu's style, and it's not really the style of Zerg versus Terran anymore.
No.
It's really fallen out of popularity.
Yeah, he used to do it quite a while ago. He was actually, I feel, one of the last players to really abandon it. He stuck very stubbornly to
he and Nesty both.
Link Mute, But yeah, now we see it coming back into play, and it works. It's a good, solid idea. We've got a lot of Hellions, got a Banshee on the field. Marine count not as big as it could be. It is getting up there now, but because of the amount of economic damage that was done earlier, Polt slacking just a little bit on upgrades because he doesn't really have a choice in the matter. Mutalisk will prove to be useful here. He can hop in and out of the natural with bare minimum threat to his actual force there, and in the background can expand and spread that creep even further.
The Marines do have 1/1 upgrades. They don't have combat shields just yet.
Yep.
So from a defensive perspective, when his combat shield's finished, he's not going to really have too much trouble with these mutas if he puts a few turrets down. He's got 1 turret in his main base right now. He's going to need a little bit more than that, though, to deal with the Mutalisk count that Dongraegu is building. Dongraegu is also about to have +1 for his mutas, so they're going to be quite formidable. You know, Polt has actually taken a bad situation and has turned it into a decent one here. His macro is actually just out of control. He does not miss a beat with it.
No, he really does not. He's a survivor. He does not give up very easily, and more often than not, he can turn the game around. So many times we've seen him do it exactly that with Stefano in this matchup. Now going directly in with the Mutalisk, and down goes the turret nice and easy.
Several SCVs going down as well. Will not be able to get this engineering bay. He may try. I like this choice to actually target down some Marines. This is something that I've said several times. I feel like harassment in all matchups versus Terran, you should kill army and not SCVs.
Control.
Look at that. I can't believe he got out.
That's unbelievable. It really is. Forcing the stim and immediately dodging in there. That is absolutely incredible.
He dodged Marines without even knowing they were there. Like, he didn't see them, but he just knew that's where they would be. So he was like, wait a minute. And then he didn't go there.
Into this narrow little procession, this single file column to hide their numbers, and then gets all the way out of there nice and easy.
That was actually just so well played.
Beautiful.
And Polt on top of things, but Dongraegu he cannot be bested. He just will not lose his mutas. No matter how well Polt positions to defend them, his control is actually art. Look at this creep
Speaking
spread.
of art, yeah, a bit of modern art sculpture going on there. This is actually about the travesty of the human mind right here. You can interpret this however you damn well please.
Yeah,
but
it's called What Polt Sees.
Indeed. What Polt sees is purple pain in regards to that. Got a couple more factories coming down here from Polt as well, which is a interesting decision.
Yeah, that's double factory going down. This is the first time I've ever seen Polt with 3 factories in a game, man. He might cancel one, but
maybe he just did it. He did it by accident. That's a possibility. No, it would be interesting to see a mech transition here from Polt, because it is not that common from him in this matchup. He is building a Thor, of course, to try and deal with that Mutalisk count. The Mutas have, to Polt's credit, not done a huge amount of damage thus far.
Polt's also been able to bank a lot of gas this game. He's been able to get his upgrades going really well. He's got 2/2 before Dongraegu. He's also got +2 for his vehicle weapons on the way. He's producing Thors, like you said, to deal with those mutas. I think it's a great choice for him to get the 3rd factory. Not to even transition into mech, but just to have that mech presence, as you were saying. So it's a really cool choice. We do see pathogen glands on the way for Dongraegu right now, as well as +1 Carapace. He's making 22 Banelings. He's very aggressively taking the center of the map right now, building an army to kind of continue to push his creep forward. He wants to keep Polt on 3 bases for as long as possible, just like we saw in Game 1. That seems to be the way he wants to play this matchup.
And he'll happily just strangle Polt for the next 20 minutes if that's what he needs to do. I'm liking the fact that Polt actually has those extra factories out. He needs to get that tank count up to a nice critical mass where he can effectively target fire down those Banelings. Right now, he doesn't quite have enough.
Yeah, not quite enough, indeed. Thor getting a decent hit on those mutas. They were actually spread out enough, though he didn't really get too much splash damage.
Oh, God.
Polt is trying to move forward here, but this is a scary moment with this many
Banelings.
Banelings.
Near that. Multi Banelings right in front of him, take attack shells, but here come the real Banelings crashing down on Polt's force. Can he actually hold up about that? Fantastic splits from Polt, but there are far too many Banelings.
There's too many, and he's on creep, so he cannot split well enough. The mutas now will clean up all the drops, and we had even supply basically from these two players, but Dongraegu taking a significant lead as a result. The engagement was obviously just going to be better for him. On creep with that many Banelings, Polt will never win that fight, no matter how good his splitting is. Polt does have to, it does force him to go back. +2 about to finish for Polt, though, and he is building this mech composition back up here. The problem is, I feel like if Polt had actually waited for a few more rounds of tanks and Thors, he could have moved out with a lot more power and really pushed his way through that creep. As a result of him moving out too soon, though, he lost that mech, so he has to kind of rebuild that. He has to kind of
that's what I was mentioning earlier. It's like 4 tanks just isn't enough against that many Banelings. He didn't have an idea as to how many Banelings were there, because of course he doesn't have map control to get that information. And as a result, he gets crushed, and he's having to rebuild from behind while his opponent goes Great Aspire.
Yeah, this is a really, really tough position for Polt again. Just as far as map awareness, map vision goes, how many times he's lost his army. Greater Spire, like you mentioned, halfway done. 3 Infestors on the way. This engagement for Dongraegu is going to be cost inefficient, but the Thors are actually doing a lot of damage. I don't like this by Dongraegu.
Yeah, it was interesting to throw the mutas in there as well, actually. I liked the surround of the tanks. Absolutely fantastic catching them on siege.
Yeah.
Did the damage. At this point, you might as well throw the lings away. It's all good. But losing that many mutas didn't really make a huge amount of sense. It does even things out quite nicely.
Oh, he's losing some more, too, here. He's got to be careful because Polt is now starting to tear through his creep a little bit.
I'm loving this dogged determination right here from Polt that we see. And another engagement coming in here. Dongraegu does not have too much AoE now. Gets the fungal in the back. Actually flanks around with those lings. Very impressive, but Polt holds on.
Polt takes a supply lead here,
Very
too.
nice.
Dongraegu's infestors were not ready in time. I think he underestimated Polt's force. You know, Polt's someone you can underestimate like this because even though you're like, well, I have more economy than him, he just does not miss any depots. His production is insane. And now he's tearing down Dongraegu's. Baneling's actually taking some marine fire before they even engage. Great splitting by Polt, and now he's in a great aggressive position here, Total Biscuit.
What an absolutely fantastic turn of events here from Polt, who calmly and coolly pushes his way onto the creep, gets a fantastic position, an amazing composition, even after losing all of those tanks in the first place. We're going to have a look at Polt's point of view right here.
Watch how he splits his units,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
We're going to take a look at him. Well,
Oh,
we won't because Dongraegu,
GG. That's how he splits his unit. He forces his opponent out of the game. His splitting is so good. Oh,
and
my
Polt ties it up 1-1 with a great turn of events, being very behind in this game, not missing a beat with his macro, and I really feel Dongraegu underestimated that squad of units. He ran forward with his infestors. Losing the infestors meant that he couldn't have any stopping power to slow